everybody, and welcome to Bad Movie Brothers. I'm Eric.
And I'm Chad.
And we watched The Midnight Hour.
Sure did.
Yes, this is an ABC TV movie.
I did notice that it was a TV movie. I'm kind of surprised by that, to be honest.
I was too. Like, it sort of starts out announcing it's a TV movie, and it feels very TV movie, except in tone. Like, it looks like a TV movie.
You couldn't do this now, that's for sure.
No. I suppose we should say a little bit about what this movie is about. It is sort of a very stock story about a group of borderline characterless teens who steal some costumes from a museum for a costume party, and it unleashes all manner of demons, and then demons happen.
Yeah, a lot of the hits from Hocus Pocus are in this.
Mm-hmm. I thought that too. This feels like a very proto-Hocus Pocus movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I will say, though, that it does happen on Elm Street.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
There you go. That had to have been on purpose.
I think it was like Maple and Elm.
Sure.
Yeah. But there's some famous people in this movie.
There are. This is probably... This has got to be one of the best casts of any movie we've watched on Bad Movie Brothers.
And well acted, I gotta say.
For the most part, yeah, absolutely. I think with the top of the pyramid for me being one Mr. LeVar Burton.
But they gotta look, these people. I mean, you can see it in their eyes. The classic New Englander. Whittling by the stove at the country store, taking Gramps for a walk in the old town square, getting ready for a quilting contest. I mean, staring blankly off into space, man. The lights are on, but nobody's home.
Of course, early LeVar.
Not as early as you would think, LeVar.
But like moving and grooving.
There you go. You also have Sherry Belafonte.
Yep.
Is in the movie. RoboCop's Kurtwood Smith is barely in it.
Yeah, barely in the movie. For
a guy who, I think this is from like 1985. He had to have done stuff by then. He plays the town chief of police.
Yeah, and you mentioned him from RoboCop, but for most younger viewers, he's the dad on that 70s show.
I know what you're talking about.
Sure you do.
I think you mean RoboCop.
Dick Van Patten is in the movie.
Dick Van Patten is very in this movie.
Skewing really young there.
All right, bye-bye now. Happy Halloween.
The bad guy from UHF is in this movie. There's a face that's in this movie that I don't think you noticed.
That's where you see that guy from is UHF?
Where do you see him from?
Is he not the bad guy from the golf movie?
From Caddyshack?
Yeah.
No.
That's not him?
The bad guy from Caddyshack is Ted Knight. He's the guy from the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Oh, similar.
No, they're not.
A little.
In as much as they have white hair.
Hey, all right, we're halfway there.
All right. But there is maybe, depending on who you ask, you have neglected the most famous face in this movie. I don't know if you noticed.
The singer, or who are we talking about?
No. Macaulay Culkin.
Who was he? Where was he?
He is one of the trick-or-treaters in his very first role.
I was not focusing on the trick-or-treaters.
The Midnight Hour introduces Macaulay Culkin to the world.
Trick or treat!
Trick!
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that exciting?
No.
Yeah, you're right.
So, in this group of friends...
Yeah.
Were you shocked that these were friends as much as I was?
Yes, I am very glad you said this. Absolutely.
I wanted the jock to be a bully, and he just wasn't.
But he kind of is.
But not in the way you would want him to be.
No, like this is a very, Archie level group of archetypical characters.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a jock guy, and our hero is the nerd.
Right.
And he starts the movie at his house with his dad's weird in-home dentist office.
Correct.
His dad is Dick Van Patten.
Yep.
But he starts the movie going to high school and giving a disturbingly detailed hunk of exposition by means of a multimedia presentation about the history of witchcraft in their small town or whatever.
Food left for wandering dead souls was how the idea of trick-or-treat got started. And costumes were worn to scare away the evil spirits on the night they had their most power.
In all these movies like this, it's whenever there's like the history lesson,
Yeah.
somehow the family that was on both sides of the good and bad of the terrible situation that happened in the past, they're all still there.
Right.
That's not, no. They leave. People leave.
Yes, and he details a witch who is the ancestor of Sherry Belafonte.
Right.
Yeah. So he's given this whole presentation, and
But it was his great grandfather was like the person that defeated her.
Yeah, it was like the Witchfinder General or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Pied Piper of witches is what
Sure.
it said or something.
Yeah. But he's given this presentation, and what I wrote down was, this kid's getting beat up, right?
Well, I thought they were going to like throw stuff at him or something.
Right. Class is hanging on his every word.
And by the way, this seems to be a pretty important presentation, right?
Yeah. Seems like a big hunk of his grade is hanging on it.
So who's going to watch it and grade it?
Substitute teacher.
Yeah, no. I don't think so.
I have a lot more to say about that, but yeah, so he's the nerd, and at this point, I'm still not certain he's our hero, really.
Right.
Although he does turn out to be. But then the next thing that happens is the jock says, hey, you know what would be great? Let's go to the town history center and steal the real witch's get-up to wear to our Halloween costume tonight. And the other kids are into it, and then when they all show up to do it, and the nerd kid shows up, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, he should not have been there. They should have been pushing him down on the ground or beating him up or something.
It defies all logic from the point of view of one of these movies.
And usually in that situation, there's like a nerd girl to go along with.
Yeah.
It just not happening.
This was like if Reggie said, let's go rob a place, and then Jughead was his best friend.
Right.
That is not how this works. I mean, I suppose from that point of view, the movie is progressive.
In 1983 or whatever?
I guess. It's also, certainly, the cast is reasonably diverse for the time.
I gotta tell you, it doesn't seem like an 80s movie. It just seems like something they can make right now.
In a lot of ways, yes. But in a lot of ways, no, because you alluded earlier that they could never do this now, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, more later. This movie is kind of violent.
Very violent.
And genuinely disturbing at points.
You know, it's like a mix of a trauma movie and a kid movie or something.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, the movie that we've watched that it reminded me the most of was Fright Night Part 2.
Sure, yeah.
This movie
Very
was
similar.
like a good Fright Night Part 2.
Yeah. But going back to when they go to steal the clothes,
Yeah.
we find out later this is the 300th anniversary of the bad day.
Right. And these kids have never seen a movie before because they're not like, this is maybe not the day to do this.
But the clothes
Yeah.
that they go to get, the actual clothes,
Yeah.
are pristine.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, they're just like on mannequins in the museum.
Of course, yeah.
There was something about, like, while that was preposterous. I mean, we were in high school at one point. Can you imagine? Well, if I may cast myself in this role for a second.
Oh, here we go. This is why you like it.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I'll do a shameless self-promotion here.
Sure.
Can you imagine if one day Pete Buttigieg had come up to me
Oh, no. Why did you do that?
and said, "Hey, let's go to the museum and rob it for costumes."
I'm not going to touch that.
But there was something about that plot that
Sure.
is so quaint in a way. Like, who would do this?
I don't know. It'd have to be a much smaller town.
Well, the movie is sort of equal parts, I don't know if progressive is the right word, but equal parts ahead of its time and behind its time.
Sure. I
Because
get
this let's go steal a cursed thing from the museum is a very kind of 50s
Yeah.
plot contrivance.
Yeah. And then they read the damn scroll that they steal.
Right. Well, no. You're missing, I think, maybe the most important step.
Which is?
That one of these goobers says, hey, let's go try on these costumes in the cemetery.
Well, where else are you going to do it, man?
Hey, where are we gonna try this stuff on anyway? I want to get my costume on.
Not my place, man. My folks are like cops.
Hey, my dad is a cop. Forget my place.
How about the cemetery?
Not the cemetery.
Yeah. No cemetery. Halloween night, man. It's classic.
The cemetery that has just constant smoke and steam rising up out of the holes in the ground.
The cemetery that's just a studio?
Clearly, yes.
Yeah, a big black curtain, and then the cheapest grave marker, like the lettering is just drawn on the gravestones.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, so let's go there. We're going to try on the costumes, and then we're going to read from this scroll.
Right.
With the ancestor of the witch.
Correct.
Or descendant? The descendant.
And the witch doctor killer.
Right.
Piper.
Yeah. These guys have never seen a movie.
Well, no.
No. Now, I'm going to jump back for a minute to the classroom.
Oh, here we go.
When the substitute teacher shows up,
Uh-huh.
did you know she was a teacher?
No. Because she doesn't look any older than anybody else.
No. That, as good as this cast is from a point of view of talent, these are the oldest teenagers that have ever been in a movie.
It was a very Saved by the Bell situation when, like, the pretty substitute teacher walks in and Zach Morris just can't handle it.
Right. But even worse, because I looked it up.
Oh, here we go.
LeVar Burton
Sure.
is 28 in this movie.
Okay.
Sherry Belafonte
Gotta be older.
is 31.
Sure, yeah, knew that.
And the woman playing the substitute teacher, who is in the rest of this movie, by the way, and bears much discussion,
Sure.
that actress is also 31.
I feel like they should have switched those roles.
It was bananas.
Yeah, there's other age issues that come about later,
There
like in
are
the party
so
and
many
things.
ages. Like there's later on in the movie, the nerd goes home to his house and his parents are getting his little sister ready for Halloween for trick or treat.
Right.
That kid's
Right.
too old to trick or treat.
Yeah, sure. She may be older than he was. I'm not sure.
That could be. But yeah, the whole thing, the whole reason they've stolen these costumes is because they're having a Halloween party
Yes.
at, I think, Sherry Belafonte's house.
Correct.
And for some reason, the substitute teacher is at the party.
Yeah, what was that about? Like, they met her that day, and all of a sudden she's invited to their big party?
Well, and she refers to herself as the chaperone,
Yeah.
as if this was a school function, which I believe it is most decidedly not.
Yeah, but she's playing it cool. She's drinking wine.
Yeah. Well, not only is she drinking wine, she demands that Sherry Belafonte get her wine.
Melissa, is there any wine? For chaperones only, of course. Of course.
Quite a wine selection, by the way.
That
Holy cow.
wine cellar is redonkulous.
It's not realistic.
No, well, it's so dusty. It was insane. Now, but I do have to give one of the things, there's a couple of things this movie does really right.
Okay.
And one of them is for the most part, the Halloween costumes. For the most part.
Okay.
I think I know where you're at, but let me take you to where I am for a second.
Okay.
The substitute teacher is dressed in an amazing David Bowie costume.
Correct.
And there's a cool greaser Frankenstein kid.
Yep.
I do like the nerd's weird glam rock Dracula costume.
But was he supposed to be somebody?
Who cares? And at one point there's a crowd scene, and one of the students is dressed as Magenta from Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is such a weird, deep cut of a costume for a movie like this that I have to tip my hat.
Okay.
But I think I know where please, I think you have a costume comment.
LeVar Burton decides not to prep a costume, but do it last minute.
Mm-hmm. Even though they just went costume robbing.
Yeah, and he clearly decides to be a mummy.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so...
Which is just ace bandages.
Or toilet paper or whatever it is.
Yeah.
For the accoutrement of the costume.
The verisimilitude.
He squirts himself with a catsup, and then breaks like 3 eggs on himself, rubs it around, and calls it good.
But also, as gross as that is.
And then he's got like one arm tied up that he can't use. Like, what was that?
Well, and as gross as it is, he just smears it on his chest.
Yeah.
It's not like an all-over thing. And
No.
he could not be more pleased with himself for his ingenuity in the
Absolutely.
ketchup and the egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing, LeVar?
I just don't even understand the thought process.
Well, he starts with the ketchup, and I already thought that was bad enough before the eggs come into play.
Yeah.
That kid is going to stink.
Well, yeah, like they're trying to do it for comedy, and I just didn't even think it was funny. It was just like, why? What?
No, but LeVar is selling it.
Sure, yeah, he's
My
into it.
hat is off to LeVar as a professional. He has this rotten egg of a thing he has to do, and he goes for it.
Have you ever seen him not go for it?
I've never seen him not go for it.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Geordie LaForge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to plug to our viewing audience, if you are not already. May I suggest to you the podcast LeVar Burton Reads, where every week LeVar Burton just reads you a story. Man, it's like a little reading rainbow just for me.
I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it is. But let me tell you something. I didn't know I needed that in my life. And I did.
Moving on. So these dead people that eventually come up on the ground after they read the scroll, it wakes up all the dead people in the cemetery.
In a pretty good scene of dead people crawling out of graves and stuff.
But they also are like immaculate. They've been dead for 300 years and they're like looking good.
Well, they're in rags.
Other than the little person Frankenstein guy, he's not looking too great.
I thought he looked amazing. I thought, okay. I believe little person is okay terminology. I sincerely apologize if it is not.
I believe it's fine.
I think so. But that dude shows up, and my first reaction was, oh boy.
He literally walks around like Stone Cold Steve Austin walks around.
Yeah. Well, and like when he showed up, I was concerned because I don't know that this movie is in any way capable of something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't play him for comedy. Like I think there's maybe one, like is that a little kid joke that's offhand, but for the most part, he's just another zombie, and he looks great.
Yeah, and he just does weird stuff, like he puts his whole face in the juice bowl and all that stuff. And these dead people can read. And they're like hip to all the new things. They know what popcorn is. They have no problem adjusting.
That newspaper zombie is great.
Yeah. The only dead person that has a problem adjusting is Sandy, the main girl.
Well, let's circle back to Sandy in a second, because I do just want to highlight how great the makeup is for the zombies.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Well, especially compared to what we typically see on this program.
Right.
And for an early 80s ABC TV movie.
Yeah, this is the whole budget.
This is, I mean, they are as good as Mr. Binks.
Yeah.
In Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, that's where they stole it from, clearly.
Yeah. They look great. There is also, the newspaper zombie has a makeout scene with another zombie at one point. That is fantastic.
But so I get the dead people, the zombies, right?
Yeah. I'm on the ride for this.
I get it.
Yeah. Zombies show up, got it.
Where does the Wolfman come from?
Well, not only is there a werewolf, there's vampires.
I get that, whatever.
And by the end of the movie, I would argue if there are more vampires than anything else.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Because
he's like running around like a spaz.
Like stuff starts rising from the grave, and you're like, all right, a bunch of zombies, and I guess I buy a witch.
Sure.
Because this whole movie's been talking witch up to this point, so, you know. Although, P.S., the witch, a vampire for some reason.
Who looked younger than her great-great-granddaughter.
Hey, well.
Yeah, you know.
She conditions. Now, the movie has a throwaway line in it at some point where I think one of the characters says something like, wait, what's with all these werewolves? Yeah. And somebody's like, well, I believe that the scroll said all the monsters from hell.
Okay, even so, how does all this back from the dead stuff explain werewolves and vampires?
All the demons of hell, you said it yourself. It's part of the ritual.
So the werewolves in hell?
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. But, yeah. Weird stuff. Now, the werewolf immediately, or as quickly as he can, kills this dude, Lester.
Did that happen first, or did the evil judge get killed?
I don't know. I just wanted to single out Lester for a second.
Lester was interesting.
As being a great screen character.
And his dogs.
He's got 2 dogs and he spits a lot. And then he gets turned into a werewolf.
Yeah.
The dogs show up later, by the way, when our nerd hero goes to the police station in a rare horror movie instance of trying to get the police involved.
Right.
And the 2 dogs are just sitting in the waiting room like they're waiting to file a report about Lester. And I thought that was pretty great.
Yep.
There were small snatches of this movie where I felt like somebody like us somebody was given a dumb script and they just went, all right. Well, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, like certainly on a couple of days of the shoot, there was like people that are like, hey, it'd be actually pretty funny if you did this.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, we'll do one of those things.
Right. Oh, wild stuff. But yes, let's talk about Sandy.
Oh, okay.
So Sandy is one of our zombies.
But I did not understand. She's from like 1950.
Yes.
But she knows everything that's happening.
As far as like the ghosts and goblins of it all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knows about the curse and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, she's from that town.
But she understands she's not like confused as to what's happening. She knows exactly why and
yeah, well, because she's the living dead.
But she should be 300 years old, not 30.
Well, now here's what I'm going to say. They rose. Everybody from the graveyard supposedly resurrected.
Yeah.
So she's just one of the recent dead. 1, that's fine. 2, now the implication, given what we just talked about, is that up until this point, Sandy had been in hell.
Right.
That's worth noting. Don't know why, don't know what she did.
Oh, I think you do.
Oh, boy. But Sandy, now there's all kinds of weirdo zombie creepy crawlies. Sandy is perfectly fine. She's not gray, there is not a bit of her missing. But she has been in the ground for 30 years.
Yep.
Now, I am no mortician.
You're not?
I don't believe so.
You're not a Paul Bearer character?
Nor am I an Undertaker, sir.
Sure.
Yeah. However,
Still wrestling, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah? Same guy?
Same guy.
Jeez. Well, good on him. In any event, stuff would have fallen off of her by now.
So I don't even know what the kid's name is. Phil, I think.
The nerd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he understand that she's dead?
I don't think he understands, because they have a meet cute.
Couple.
And then they hang around with each other, and like this is one of those movies that's a couple of different movies, because while all the mayhem is happening at the house party.
Yeah, when they're doing the Hocus Pocus party where everybody turns into a monster.
Right, because the vampires just start biting people, and before long you've got yourself a LeVar Burton vampire.
Which was great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But while all of that's going on, the nerd has left the party because the girl he likes won't give him the time of day. And then he meets up with Sandy, and they start a teen romance. So this movie is both sometimes graphic and horrific monster death movie, and sometimes cute romantic monster rom-com comedy.
Yeah, man, at the time there weren't so many channels. You had to be playing on both sides of the aisle here. You couldn't just go one way.
Yeah, this is a real 4-quadrant hit is what this is. Yeah.
There you go. Advertisers.
Yeah. Oh boy. But yeah, so they pal around. She knows what's going on. He clearly does not. Although their sequence also gets pretty horrific. There's a whole part near the end of the movie where they're walking around the town, and the town has descended into monster chaos.
Really quickly.
And there are all of these weird evocative images. Like there's a zombie milkman at one point.
Loved that.
Oh yeah, which sounds like it's funny, but it wasn't funny.
Put that in. Put that clip in.
Yeah. They have this shot of Kurtwood Smith, the chief of police, not only turned into a zombie, but holding a ball of fire for some reason.
Yeah. Great.
Like there are moments in this movie where they like go hard for even when back at the house party, Sherry Belafonte's in the wine cellar, and her witch/vampire great grandma comes down there to bite her, which they do not play as a goofy TV movie scene. They play it as a creepy movie scene with a Smiths song playing in the background.
What do you think? Red or white?
Red. Definitely red.
And a tremendous use of red wine sitting in for the blood. Tremendous.
Yeah. Like, seriously, like, the Smiths start playing, and I'm like, when did this movie get this hip? What is going on?
Like, if that wine cellar was real, that was about $100,000 worth of wine that was just going nowhere.
Oh, my goodness. And the movie has a ton of, like, there's a part near the end, because, of course, the two plots link back up.
Yeah.
And there's a part near the end where Nerd and Sandy go back to the house to recover a ring that they need to end the curse or whatever.
Yeah.
And all of the vampires are just on the staircase waiting for them, and that was creepy.
Awesome.
Looking for us, Phil?
Like, legit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there's so many things I want to talk about. But getting back to Sandy for a second, I was so confused by her character.
Yeah.
And this kind of gets to a bigger question I have about the whole movie. So she's okay. So she's, the teen. I think they even play the song. She's a teen angel character, kind of.
Right. Yep.
And and her whole deal, like, while all the other monsters are causing mayhem, she just wants what she never got in life, which is romance or whatever, which she finds with the nerd.
Does she?
Necking in his pristine 50s convertible.
Does she, or did she force that?
Well, whatever. Hey, get it, girl.
Yeah, sure.
But in any event, I was confused. Like, if they wanted to do that, if they wanted to have this girl who just, like, wants to have, like, a semi-normal night and have her not look like a zombie, why had she not just died the previous year? Why did she need to be from the 50s? And for that matter, why did so much of this movie need to be from the 50s?
Had she just died the previous year, he would have known who she was, and it would have been a little bit more weird, I think.
But you could sell it as she goes to the other high school.
Oh, come on.
But you could. You know what I'm saying.
Well,
that wouldn't be the weirdest thing in this movie, my friend.
But why not have her be like the good witch that got all tangled up in it too, and she's 300 years old
there's
or whatever?
There's a number of things that you could do, but this is what I'm driving at. There's so much 50s stuff in this movie. His car. Yeah. While there's some cool songs in this movie, most of them are like 50s songs, like The Midnight Hour or something.
Well, they're like remakes too, yeah.
Yeah, but also to the point where they literally had Wolfman Jack, celebrity DJ Wolfman Jack, announcing all of the songs in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, this is Wolfman and it's Halloween, so we're gonna be rocking till the midnight hour with the weird tunes, the strange sounds, baby, for all you young lovers. So guys, grab your favorite ghoul, hold her real tight, give her a love bite, cause tonight just might be the night.
I very much felt like for a lot of this movie's life, it was supposed to take place in the 50s.
Well, but so those were all the people that would want to watch this movie, though. The people that were born in the 50s is just hearkening back to that time.
But kids would want to watch this movie. You know?
Yeah, but who's in control of the TV?
I guess it's a kids and parents thing. But I'm just saying, I feel like at one point this movie was set in the 50s, and then a producer or something went, no, we can't afford that. This movie is set now.
Right. Maybe. I don't know.
And so then it just has all of these weird leftover 50s things hanging around in it. I don't know.
I think it was set in the 80s the whole time, but they knew that the audience was going to be people that are like 30 to 40 years old, and they would have been kids.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I just thought it was an odd, much as the rest of the tone of this movie can be an odd mishmash between wacky comedy and deathly horror and, Michael Jackson Thriller knockoff dance sequence.
Yes.
You're dying. Everybody should try it. You're dead. Don't try it. Everybody's gonna buy it. You're dead.
So which came first? I don't know.
Thriller. They're very clearly trying to cash in on Thriller.
Okay.
With a song called, I think, Dead Girl.
Yeah.
Or I'm Dead, something like that.
It doesn't matter.
I have it written down. Let me look. Get Dead.
Get Dead.
Get Dead. Sung by Sherry Belafonte.
Of course.
Weird and wild stuff.
I enjoyed it.
I did too. I liked it quite, by the auspices of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were certainly some dull parts in it and whatever. But yeah, for the most part, this was a very enjoyable movie.
This is one I might watch again around Halloween time.
Did you watch it at normal speed?
Hell no. But I did only watch it at 1.25.
Oh, okay. So just barely sped up.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
I think the movies are much better a little bit sped up. I think you'd be surprised.
All movies?
No.
Okay.
Terrible ones.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I have a number of nitpicky things I could point out about this movie.
I'm sure you do.
Well, like when they're trying to get the ring off of the jock, now himself a vampire, when they're trying to get the ring off of his finger, they pour syrup on his finger?
Yeah, that was weird.
That's just going to make it stickier, stupid.
Well, so clearly, whatever happened to these people beforehand would have been erased had they fixed everything, right?
Oh, that's a question I have for you, sir.
Well, it seems that way. So why not just chop it off? That's what she was trying to do, or something. One of them was trying to do it.
Well, I don't think we can suggest that our hero knows what's going to happen one way or the other.
Yeah, he's oblivious.
And I would say that we don't know, because yes, spoiler alert. At the end of this movie...
I don't think this is a spoiler, because these people are not going to watch this movie.
At the end of this... Well, I would argue why not? But at the end of this movie...
Sure.
At the end of this movie, our heroes are victorious. They reseal the scroll, and the legions of the dead, including Sandy, are returned to hell. But we don't get like that scene at the end of these movies where then you see like LeVar Burton back home, or like waking up like, oh, that was a weird dream. So my question is did all of the dead of the town stay dead? We don't know.
We don't.
And that's really crazy for this kind of a movie. Because by the end of this movie, everyone is dead. Dick Van Patten has been turned into a vampire. Everybody's a vampire or a zombie. The substitute teacher's a vampire. Everybody. And at the end of the movie, everybody is gone except the nerd.
Right.
Who then is delivered a message from the Return to the Dead Sandy via Wolfman Jack.
Hey, the first caller after midnight on Wolfman's dedication line is a young lady who really wanted to make sure we got this right away. It's from Sandy to Phil.
But yeah, at the end of this movie, only Wolfman Jack and the nerd hero are still alive. And apparently, Sandy can communicate with Wolfman Jack.
So, in a lot of movies like this, eventually, like, when you have the radio hosts like that, they also get taken over by the evil people. Mm-hmm. I was waiting for that the whole time.
Well, and my answer to that is the same as my answer as to how is Sandy capable of communicating with Wolfman Jack.
Right.
It's right there in the name.
Sure. Yep.
He's a wolf man. The curse didn't bring him in. He was just already there.
He's already there.
That's right. He's the little bit of darkness that has always existed.
Okay, watch yourself.
He's a werewolf DJ.
Wolfman.
Wolfman Jack. What? So, I don't know. Do you have anything else in particular you want to say about this movie?
I don't.
I did, but I liked it, which means we need to now look at the Bad Movie Brothers rankings.
Okay.
And decide where it goes, and I will be bold.
Hey, by the way, you can't retype that thing? You're just scratching out?
I'll get around to it.
Goodness gracious.
I don't see you jumping to retype it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't asked to.
Nor was I.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I will be bold and suggest that I think this is a top 5 movie.
All right.
Okay.
So where would you put it?
You see, I was struggling with that. This is our top 5 as exists.
List it.
Beginning with number 1. Made to Order, My Chauffeur, Grunt the Wrestling Movie, No Retreat, No Surrender, How I Got Into College. And recent Bad Movie Brothers movie, Rosebud Beach Hotel, is at number 6.
Ooh, dang, that was a good one, too.
That was a good one. I think that Midnight Hour is at least better than How I Got Into College.
I was going to say 3.
Really? You think it's better than Grunt?
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Like, I'm not sure if I think it's better than No Retreat, No Surrender. I could put it at 3.
All right.
All right. It's going in there. The Midnight Hour. Shot up to the top of the list.
How did you become aware of this film?
The same way I hear about all of them. Somewhere on the internet or something.
Okay.
I believe this film has a little bit of a cult following.
I'm not shocked.
I believe there are a number of people, probably our age, who saw this on TV at the time, and I am not surprised that they remember it. Like, can you imagine watching this on TV when you're like a little kid?
Nobody our ages saw this movie and remembers it on TV. Nobody.
I don't know. Maybe they reran it. I don't know.
I wasn't even alive, man.
That's true.
You were a year old.
Well, what do we know what year this came out?
I think it was 83.
I thought it was like 85.
Okay, maybe.
Hold on. This is a failure. This is my failure. I should have written this down. Here we go. Nope, that's not this movie. 85.
Okay.
So I was 3.
Oh, wow.
I was 3.
You remember all the shows on ABC when you were 3 years old?
No, but I think that by this point in my life, Mom and Dad had shown me probably both RoboCop and Rambo, so who the hell knows?
Come on.
I will never forget sitting on the couch with Mom and Dad in New Carlisle watching RoboCop. And when they get to the part where the bad guys blow RoboCop away at the beginning, Mom covered my eyes for that part. I don't watch this.
Look where it got you.
Yeah, look where I am today.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of Bad Movie Brothers.
Go out and see this movie on the YouTube.
Yeah, and we'll be back next time with another bad movie.
Goodbye.
All right, bye-bye now. Happy Halloween.